How do you know when's the best time to buy a stock or sell a put? I'm going to give you my thoughts on that one. Hello, my friends. This is Legend. Hey, I just wanted to change it up a little bit. I think this is useful for any of the YieldMax plays or any other stocks really that you're getting into. For me, I like to try to get a good buy price. I don't want to necessarily overpay for a stock when I can just wait, get a little patience, and get a better price. I know for these YieldMax ETFs, we're receiving those distributions, so price itself, you'll hear a lot of people say that it doesn't really matter. Well, I think what they mean by that is, yes, I bought it at this price and it is $1 or $2 or $3 under my cost, but I've already received $5 worth of distributions. So, you know, I am not underwater, I am making money, right? So I think that's what's meant by the price really doesn't matter, because this is just being looked at as income, and it's being looked at as a way to bring that income in through the use of a distribution. And YieldMax is a way to provide that. You know, of course, this is not financial advice. And make sure that you fully understand any kind of NAV erosion with any of the ETFs like that, because it does pay a very high yield, and due to that, that distribution does come out of the price, so therefore the price itself can erode over time if paid out more than the stock price can handle. But as long as you're making it back up in distribution and that continues, at some point you should be able to tilt that scale to the other side. And that's not guaranteed, and make sure you do your own research to find that out and keep track of your own portfolio to make sure you're not too heavy into anything, as those are higher risk stocks and ETFs. So before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, as I'm trying to grow this channel so that we can reach more and more people, as I think this is information that everybody should know. So for this video here, what I'm trying to do is I just wanted to give my thoughts, and again, this is my thoughts. There's many ways that you can do this, many indicators that you can use, different methods. It is all up to you. But just kind of wanted to show you and give you an idea of what and how I'm doing it. So what I do when I'm looking for a stock, and I'm, like I said, this could be used for the YieldMax plays, but just for the point of getting this information across, I've just searched and found a couple stocks to utilize. Now, I do not have either one of these stocks that I'm about to show. I do not have them, nor do I suggest that you buy into them. This is only for informational purposes only. So the first one here, FRSH, the first thing that I'm looking for is that RSI2. And that is this yellow line down here. And as you can see, this number right over here in this area says RSI2, and then it has a number out beside of it. If I put it at the end, which is the last candle in this graph, it shows that RSI2 being 3.84. Now that 3.84, what I'm looking for is that to be below a 10. And let me go ahead and I'll add a line here, and we'll just make that a orange line here. So we have an orange line down here at the bottom, and that's at a 10 on the RSI2 here. So when that RSI2 indicator, when it falls below that 10, for me, that says, okay, it is set for a buy time, okay? That's the first indicator that I look at. So next I would look at is, I would go up here, and I'm going to turn off all my indicators so they're all off currently. And the first thing that I'm going to look at is the Bollinger Band. So I'll turn the Bollinger Band on. This white line is the upper Bollinger Band. The blue line here, that's the middle, and the yellow is the bottom. And for this one here, I am looking at this graph and I'm looking to see, is it below the mid? Okay, if it's below the mid, then that ticks off the second box. And if it is at the bottom of the Bollinger Band, that's even a better buy time for me. Okay, so this one here now has ticked off both boxes. Okay, it has the RSI2 is below the 10 down here at the bottom of the chart, and the candle is at the bottom of that Bollinger Band. It is definitely below the mid, but it is actually setting on the bottom of the Bollinger Band. What it's telling me is if I can buy a stock at this point, this being basically a low point on the chart, the bottom of the Bollinger Band, the stock is going to want to try to come back to the mid. Okay, the mid, consider it like a little magnet. It wants to draw it to that mid, and that's the reason it's always kind of oscillating around it. It doesn't have to. Sometimes it may take a while. It may stay above it for quite a while, or it may stay below it for quite a while. But right now, the way it's looking is this price is at the bottom of that Bollinger Band, so that is a good buy time. Okay, so basically that's saying that we are in a potential oversold area. And that's what the RSI2 here is. It's telling me that on a short term, this is a potential oversold position, right? So 2 tick marks there for the RSI and the Bollinger Band. Both of those are good. But that's not all I'm looking for. So let's look at a 1-year chart. And what I'm looking for on the 1-year chart is to see if that graph or the candles stay above the moving average, the 200-day moving average to be exact. So let's turn off the Bollinger Band here and let's turn on the EMA, which is moving average. Now, for the moving average, I've got the green line here, and that green line, that's a 5-day moving average. The blue line is a 20-day moving average, and this red line here, that is a 200-day moving average. So what I want to make sure that on a 1-year chart that my candles are staying above that 200. If it does drop below it, does it come back, right? So I'm looking for that. So let's go over here and we will look at this 1-year chart. And as you can see, this is the red line. That red line is a 200-day moving average. This has not stayed above that 200-day. I mean, here's the candles here, and we're under it already. And then we're staying under it for quite a while. And then we pop back up, and now we're above it. Now, not saying that that doesn't mean that it won't keep on going up or it won't drop back down. But what I'm looking for is safety, right? So I'm just trying to get which stock is the best possible chance I've got for this stock to run up. So for me, this one here is a no-go. This one here is a very important line to stay above. And like I said, if it does drop below it, does it come back up, and how long does it stay below that 200? And just for fun, let's look at the 5-year. You look at the 5-year here, and as you can see, I mean, we were, up around this area here at around the $48, and then we have just kind of sunk down, and then we've been trading sideways to down here, and that's not what I'm looking for in my stocks. But I just kind of wanted to use it as an example because when we were first looking at it, and we're looking at this RSI2, it triggered. That's a good thing, right? It's below that 10 over here. You can see it's below 10. It's 3.84. And on the Bollinger Band, as we saw, and turn that back on, the Bollinger Band is below the mid, and it's actually on the bottom of the Bollinger Band. So that's a good indicator. But that 1-year chart, you go to that 1-year chart, and that is not a pretty chart. So this one is a pass for me. So here we are on the next one we'll look at, and that's GDTY, GoDaddy. Again, I am not recommending that this is something that you buy or get into. I am not into this stock. This is only being used as an example of what I'm looking for as far as in indicators and such. So for this one, the first thing I'm going to look at again is this RSI2. So I look at that RSI2, I put it on the bottom there. We've got an RSI2 of 8.45. It is below the 10. So there's the first tick. The second tick is with my Bollinger Band on, and I've got my Bollinger Band on with my upper, my mid, and my lower. Is it below the mid? It is below the mid. Is it at or below the bottom? And it actually is. Now for this one here, it did have earnings, and it looks like maybe the earnings came out and it weren't so good. Could have been just a miss in the earnings. I have not looked at this stock. I have not evaluated this stock. I do not know much on the GoDaddy here, but it is just being used as an example. So outside of the fact that earnings did cause this to drop down a little bit, but again, it could still be a potential buy. Let's just look a little bit deeper. Not looking into the fundamentals, only looking at the technicals here. So there's the second tick mark. It is at and below actually the lower Bollinger Band. So that's a good sign. So we've got 2 ticks here. Are we done? Nope, we're not. We have to also look at the 1-year chart. So let's go ahead and turn the Bollinger Band off, and let's turn on our moving average. And our moving average for a 1-year chart here. This red line, that's the 200-day moving average. And these candles here are staying well above it, right? It is staying above that 200-day moving average. And here's that big drop that we had for earnings. But is it staying above that 200-day moving average? And it is. It is. So therefore, that's my check mark. Now let's go to the 5-year. And I go to 5-year, and this one here is to get a really long-term view of the stock and how well it's been doing long-term. Now, it doesn't mean that the stock has been out for 5 years, and let's just see. And it has, looks like there's, looking at a 2020. So this is showing a full 5 years worth, and it's gone further back even than that. So let's go back to the 5-year here. And as you can see, it did drop down below that 200 a little bit, right? But it's been just kind of riding it back and forth, but hovering around it. I'm not too worried about that personally. It's whenever you see it drop down and it just go further away from that 200. Now, it looks like around about 2023 of October is when GoDaddy just... it went. GoDaddy went. So, and it has gone from this price of about $75 to as high as $216, and it's sitting at $182.19 right now. So, but it is above that 200 moving average. So that ticked off that box. So now we have a potential buy here for GDDY. Now, keep in mind, there is a lot of gap between the price here and that 200-day moving average. And this did fall a good bit here due to earnings. So that was an earnings event that it fell on. So you definitely would want to do your little research and find out what happened as far as in why it fell so hard on this earnings day. Kind of need to better understand what that is. But taking that out of the equation here and only looking at technicals, not the fundamentals, and you need to also take into account the fundamentals before purchasing a stock. But just for using this as an example, just a quick find, I am just showing my indicators. So again, we have that potential buy here. So because we are below the 10 on the RSI2, we are at the bottom of the Bollinger Band on the chart here, and we are above the 200 moving day average on the 1 year and pretty much above it on the 5-year chart. That to me says that's a potential buy, because what I'm looking for is it to be at as many points that it's at the oversold position, being at that bottom of that Bollinger Band, being at the bottom of that RSI, saying that now it's oversold, so it's going to want to come back up because it's just been sold too much. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for those times when it's just sold too much, and that's a buy point for me. And that's what you can do as well for, say, MSTY, right? You can do the same thing here for MSTY, and you can go in here and you can do the same indicators. So as you go through those, that will help you to determine when's a buy time and when is a hold and wait and be patient time. Because if that candle is up here at the top of that Bollinger Band, I don't want to necessarily buy that, even though, say, on this candle here, it's going up, and then all of a sudden you get this red day and it drops, and you're thinking, time to buy, right? Because it's coming down. Well, you're not looking at the Bollinger Band here or any other indicators, because the RSI2 is high. It's at the top of the Bollinger Band. I would much rather wait until this thing comes and it gets below that mid, and that RSI2 here is below that 10. That to me is a good time to maybe dollar cost average into your stock or sell a put, because if it's going to want to come back up, I want to, if I sold my put down here and the price goes back up, then that put will eventually go to zero if that price stays above my strike. And if that goes to zero, then I don't have to worry about getting assigned those shares because it never got down below my strike. So there are several things to look for, and there's a lot of things, and there's more than just what I showed you here. I was just showing you some of the technicals here. Definitely you need to, do your research on any stocks that you want to get into and make sure that it's a good, decent stock and overall it's going up. And that's what I'm looking at on those 1 year and 5 years. I'm seeing, is this stock overall, is it going up, right? That's what I'm looking for. Is it overall, is it moving up? Because if I'm going along with the stock, I at least want to see in the past it has been going up. Now, nobody knows the future, but I want to at least help myself to potentially get a stock that's going to continue to move up. So I hope that helped you out a little bit on when and how I determine when to purchase my shares. And like I said, I'm doing that with MSTY, but you can use any indicators that you would like. And if you have your own method, that is fine as well. It is your portfolio. I'm just giving you some ideas of what I'm doing. If you have other ideas, throw them in the comments. I'd love to see them. And maybe I can incorporate those ideas as well. So I hope you take a moment to hit that like, subscribe, and share button. Please turn on your notifications so that you get notified when I drop new videos. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. None of this was financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock play. And until next time, legend out.